So hello everyone, welcome to episode 14 of the virtual coffee break. You may notice that it's been several months since Karina and I have done these videos. It's been a very busy few months with everything going on around the pandemic and also all the Brexit altercations that essentially start from next year. In today's discussion, we're pleased to cover the topic of Brexit, and we've labelled this meeting as the future post-Brexit. So Karina, welcome to the show, and where do we get started on a topic around Brexit and in relation to Amazon specifically?
Yeah, it's one of those where I think everybody's the focus has been everywhere else with the pandemic, and all of a sudden Brexit's around the corner. There's what we're starting to see is almost this last minute panic of so many businesses we're finding weren't prepared despite giving them some guidance. It's all everybody's I think we're hoping that things would be different. And that hasn't been the case. And so there's a bit of a last minute panic and around a few different things. But I think if we talk about Amazon, the most key part is about where businesses have been taking advantage of the European fulfillment network. So being able to have inventory in the UK and supplying customers on Amazon in Germany, France, and not having to put inventory in those marketplaces and vice versa. And, you know, even on the vendor side where Amazon has been able to take inventory from the UK without necessarily notification to the vendors and redistributing, that is the biggest change amongst many other things, but would be the biggest change when it comes to Amazon.
Yeah, and I think there's almost like two audience groups that you're speaking to here, right? You're speaking to the people that are familiar with Amazon, will probably be keeping on top of the changes that have officially been announced earlier this year. And then you've also got this new wave of entrepreneurs who all of a sudden have taken real interest in selling on Amazon because they've seen how consumer changes have come into effect far quicker this year. And so they were probably of the illusion of, well, Amazon traditionally has been a very focused platform that would have allowed me to actually get my product in front of a European audience of 450 million odd customers, whereas I can still do that, but it's far more complicated. And so if I am more of a UK focused business, I have to start off, trying to get the UK audience interested, and then work out the logistics and the legal decisions around that in order to get into Europe. So a lot of people are calling this a bombshell. It's probably more just a legal and logistical decision process that's changed compared to where it was before. So the opportunities are still there. It's just it has to be done differently, right?
Exactly. And there's more an element of investment. And because there's an element of investment, it's more businesses are taking a step back to think, actually, does it make sense? And what I mean by that, for example, is where a business has been registered in the UK, they've got their UK VAT number, they're just then using the fulfillment center only within the UK and selling product in different marketplaces. That is no longer going to be possible. They're now going to have to, for sellers, it's split the inventory and have one location in the UK, because effectively you're dealing with the UK and EU now. It's not bundled together. And so that for those businesses that haven't been set up in the EU, although with the push for VAT in Germany, that has actually helped a lot of businesses that we know that they've already ended up getting an VAT for Germany, a VAT number. But it means that you've got to treat them separately. And so then it means investing in a VAT number and being VAT registered in a EU marketplace and having your inventory in two locations. And those are things where I guess we took advantage of before and didn't have to worry about. Whereas now it's that decision, as in, do you invest now? Because you're effectively investing in two locations. That's, of course, if you were very heavily focused on the UK. Some businesses have already been set up. And so they're just going to basically split the businesses, but they're already able to trade within the EU. They have their EU EORI number, they're VAT registered in all those marketplaces. So they're going to be the ones less impacted. It's the businesses that have almost been piggybacking off of the UK into the EU that will probably see the bigger impact.
I know you and I were having a discussion offline around if you do have a brand and a product that is relevant to a European audience, and you're having to make the decision of which European marketplace should you pick as your primary location for stock. How does a brand go about deciding that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, you could go on the size, you know, Germany being the largest marketplace outside of outside of the UK, and being, although, you know, you've got to get VAT registered, and the timeline seems to get longer and longer because everybody's all of a sudden registering for VAT within Germany, but it requires less legalities and fiscal presence as in some other of the marketplaces. So it's not only thinking about market opportunity and the size of the market, it's also, as you say, thinking about any legal implications, tax implications, because yes, it is the EU, but each country has its own requirements. And so you're going to want to go with a market with almost the less headache as well to manage.
I mean, anything like this is just going to naturally have a level of teething problems. And this video hopefully will become outdated at some point, in the sense that everyone's worked out the recipe for success and there's just a new way of doing it. That being said, another kind of topic that comes up in discussion quite a lot with brands is, how does this affect trademarks and specifically on Amazon brand registry? Yeah,
definitely. And Amazon recently made an announcement about trademarks, because those businesses that have an EU trademark is automatically going to be split out into an EU trademark and a UK trademark. And from our understanding, no action is needed. And Amazon announced that they'll automatically be doing that in the background for the brand registry. So those that already have an EU trademark, they're the businesses that are okay. But then going forward, if you're a business and you want to register a trademark and you're dealing with the EU and dealing with the UK, you're going to need to register for a UK trademark and an EU trademark. So it's all these things where you're going to have to almost double up. And it's the same even when we talk about, we're talking about trademarks. If we also talk about some product compliance aspects, so CE marking, we've got the CE marking. The UK, it's going to be the UK, I believe it's UKCA marking. So if you're then dealing with both the UK and the EU, you're going to need to have marking for both on the products that require CE marking. So it starts to become, there's all these different aspects that are starting to come up. And those businesses, as you say, that have been trading for years and have probably been planning for this are all ready. But it's those businesses that are doing things last minute, all of a sudden realizing, oh, hang on, we need to apply for a different compliance, and we need to apply it to our packaging, and we need to do all these things. But we've just had a production run for X amount based on the old packaging. And that's when there's an investment needed, of course, to make those changes.
With change also can come opportunity, and I was reading some interesting posts across a couple of different forums where there was some big ideas out there that with the limitations of Europe, or not even the limitations, the complexity that's now been put in place, does that offer other opportunity overseas where the UK and those countries have a very close relationship? So as an example, Australia, Australia still being a very small focus for Amazon, but probably a growing one. Now, logistically, I don't know how that works because you've got an ocean between the two countries, or several oceans. But you don't know that maybe there's closer opportunities between countries like that, where, off the back of this change, there could be something there as well for sellers. So I think, one to keep an eye on. Yeah,
definitely. And Amazon also recently announced with sellers. Of course, sellers are then making that decision whether they split the inventory. Vendors, this might actually be positive news to those vendors that Amazon have been taking that inventory and redistributing it to the other countries, which some vendors haven't liked. And Amazon's had the European fulfillment network and said, well, basically they do as they please. That's almost putting a stop to it. So now Amazon are having to say, well, you can do dual inbound, but, or I think it's dual inbound or dual inbound. But for that to happen, they need to legally comply. So then it almost becomes a point where Amazon need to get permission to be able to do that. So although it's a headache, that is actually some vendors I've definitely had conversations with, and they're actually relieved, because that European fulfillment network and Amazon just redistributing UK stock to other marketplaces has been a bit of an issue for them.
And more or less automatically translating product pages without your permission and not really doing a good job of it. So actually it's probably giving vendors specifically more control of their brand, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for those that are in vendors that are already in the EU, then they're still going to have the challenges between France, Germany, Italy, and Spain, but the UK is separate. And interestingly also, you know, where it's just been one UK account and Amazon's been redistributing inventory, actually, you actually have to have a vendor central account in the EU as well. Yeah. So you're going to have a EU vendor central account in EU vendor central account. How easy that is, knowing that it's almost like gold dust, how easy Amazon is going to be working with vendors to create that will be interesting to find out.
And from a business setup and workload perspective, and I'm talking about running your Amazon account, whether that's vendor or seller, and also the logistical setup, how much more workload will that be for brands? Is it significantly more workload where actually they probably do need to hire another person to help with it? Or is it something they can do? You know, we see a lot of really successful businesses on Amazon that actually might only have a team of 2 or 3 people, and they're turning over millions within UK and or Europe. But with these levels of complexities coming to the kind of forefront of their business, does that require them to invest in other individuals, or is it more around that just for the short term until they get set up, they just need to reinvest their time into other areas of their business?
Yeah, it's a great question. And as you say, there's more of an investment at the start of just making it work. There's going to be teething problems. It's trying to figure out, oh, we didn't think about X, we need to sort out Y. There is going to be an added amount of resource. You know, if we give the example of needing to then, if you've just been working with one vendor central account, all of a sudden you need to have one in the EU, one in the UK. You're then all of a sudden almost separating it out. And who knows whether, you know, Seller Central will be an EU, because it's always been unified for the EU. So what are Amazon's plans? Is Amazon's plan to keep that separate? Who knows? Because at the end of the day, you know, it's unified in the US and they still have, you know, it's not sort of the cross-border selling like that we have in the EU. So it's interesting to see, but there'll definitely be some element of additional resource needed. But as you say, we'll soon find out.
I think this is a topic that we've agreed that we'd actually want to revisit next year after a few months to actually come back and give our own feedback of the processes. Has it went to plan with our clients and what we're seeing in the marketplace, or actually here's the common problems that we're up against? So definitely something that we will look to revisit February or March time. But I suppose my coffee's getting cold, which means that we should probably wrap it up, and hopefully we've shared some really good kind of top line nuggets on the subject of Brexit and what the future will look like. So Karina, thanks for joining, and we look forward to seeing everyone again for episode 15.
Fantastic. Thanks everyone. Speak soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.